Hey, what is good, everyone? This video is going to be about the best free piano, free organ, Rhodes, Wurlitzers, electric pianos, things of that nature. These are for Windows and Mac. And I also avoided contact instruments because not everyone has contact. So these are all just regular VST plugins. Let's start right here. This just came out a few days ago. This is the Collab B3 organ emulation by Sampleson, and they specifically put it out because we're quarantined and stuck at home. And you can see up top here it says hashtag stay home make music, and there's also a link where you can get good info on the COVID-19. This company makes really good stuff. This is a really high tier quality free product right here. Let's hear what it sounds like. That is gorgeous. It has the rotary options, and then here's all the stops right here. A crude way of explaining this is it's almost working like an EQ. Like if you want more high end, you would pull out these stops. If you want less low end, it's adding octaves and stuff like that. Little side fact, there's that old expression, they really pulled out all the stops for this one, and that actually comes from these old organs, because if you pull out all of these stops, the organ will be at its loudest, brightest, most maxed out settings. So that's where that old expression comes from. But anyway, this thing has some presets that come with it. If you click under Factory, 60s Church, Grand Organ, nice, Jazz Basic. This thing just sounds amazing. Yeah. So that is the Collab B3. Super dope. There's also a couple by Martinic. There's the Combo Model V organ. There's also this Combo Model F organ by the same company. And these are both tiny little programs. They're like 2 megabytes a piece. The Combo V sounds like this. But this one does have some cool settings. Here's the same stops where you can adjust the tone and the octaves. The vibrato has a speed and a depth control, so you have a lot of control over that, which is nice. Volume. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, this thing sounds really good, and it's a super tiny little program. Pretty much the same thing with the Combo F. It's just, you know, same thing, different style. This one has this little MT booster on it that's really good for sound shaping. Both of these also have these 3 cab options. You can select these, and I'll just play you what they sound like. So they all just kind of sound very different, almost like different templates or starting points. And one more cool thing about both of these is you can come in here to the tuning, and right now all 12 notes are perfectly in tune, and you can kind of come in here and, you know, offset these a little bit. And if you want to like talk about getting, you know, a nice real true emulation of like owning a piece of hardware, this is a good way to do it. And that's pretty subtle. Let's we'll pull it out of tune just a hair more. All right, let's talk pianos, shall we? When you get into piano VSTs and softwares, you're getting into a much more like broad universal spectrum of musicians and producers. Like, for instance, I produce electronic and hip hop music. So what I want a piano for is going to be different than what like a concert pianist would want a piano for, or a music teacher. So there might be a great full-bodied piano out there that sounds exactly like a grand piano in some concert hall, and it might sound amazing, but that might not be the best fit for like what I want and what I want to use a piano for. Being the kind of music I make, I like a real bright piano that kind of cuts through the mix. First, really quick, I want to give a quick shout out to the Keyzone Classic. For a long time, this was definitely my go-to freebie. And one of the bonuses of this is it actually has 5 different sound banks within it. And so it's about a gig because this is a sample player. They've sampled these instruments. So it is about a gigabyte to download this. The Keyzone piano is always my favorite. And then they've got the Yamaha Grand. A little softer, sounds nice. It's got the Steinway. It has a basic electric piano. Not bad. Has a real basic Rhodes, not bad either. It even has a little LFO stuff you can get into over here. But recently I've really fallen in love with this right here, the Neo piano. And it's not much to look at, but it sounds amazing, and it has a lot more parameters on it, as far as like you can even adjust the reverb, the dampening, the perception from the player to the audience. Really tons and tons of sound possibilities in this. And let me shut up for a second and just play it. This thing just sounds great. Let's get up real high. And down low. Yeah, this one's about a gigabyte too because it's just a sampled piano. First and foremost, it's kind of weird. When you load up this VST, the sounds aren't in it yet. So you have to click on piano and then click right here where it says piano file. And you have to store this file that's called PianoOne right here, just somewhere on your computer. And you see it's almost a gigabyte. So you have to load that up every time. It's not a big deal. It takes 2 seconds. Let's look at where you have damping options right here. And a really cool thing about this plugin, anything you hover over and move, like right here you see doing the damping time, but then when I hover over this knob, this is the release damping, and it says right over here what's happening. Damping key follow. This harmonic gain that's sort of like resonance a little bit, and I usually leave that turned all the way down. You have a tone knob, which is also the lid position, like if it's open or shut. Here's your bass, treble. And what's really cool is you can put it on these little templates. They have pop, rock, jazz, soft, classical, and unique. But you can actually run these in parallel. So this style knob is the level of how much classical template you want. So this all the way up is their classical template. And then all the way down is without it. And you can kind of mix between the two. That's really cool because each one of these sound cool and different. Let's get into the reverb here. It has 2 separate things in here, and it's important to note. There's the early reflections, and then there's the reverb controls. And they work together, but the early reflections can be really awesome when used like subtly, but they can make it sound weird if you turn them up too much. And what an early reflection is, it's going to be a little bit of kind of like room reverb ambience right at the very beginning of the transient of the note, whereas the reverb is, you know, the tail and what sort of rings out. So you can kind of get weird with these. Like, see how different that sounds with this all the way up. Sounds a little wonky. So I would go easy on this early reflections dry wet knob, but you can still get some totally different sounds out of this. If you really start messing with it, it looks so simple at first, but once you really start messing with like the reverb time, it even has reverb width. So when this is all the way up, the reverb is in the stereo field. And if you might have to put on headphones to hear this, but right now the reverb is real wide. And you can put the reverb in mono or anywhere in between. And that's a really, really good parameter to have once you get this piano in a mix. So, Neo Piano is the shit. Let's move on. I wanted to give just a quick shout out to this little guy. This is called Creepy Piano. I think it came out around last Halloween. Creepy Piano is a rompler. I don't usually, mess with these. There's a lot of these like this, and usually you pull them up and they make a couple sounds and then that's all they do. And so it's not something you would use over and over again. This, however, I started going through a lot of these presets and there was actually a lot of like really cool sounds in here. Let me play you a couple of them. Like that is sweet. Clay Shack. That's ready for some lo-fi action right there. If y'all make lo-fi hip hop. Coffin Rot. Oh, that's pretty. Woo! What else we got in here? Decayed. Ooh. This thing is fun. I was really surprised by this. A lot of these presets are great. Super lo-fi. Spitfire Audio is a company that does a lot of strings, acoustic instruments, bells, mallets, vibraphones, organs, even synths. And they're serious biz. They don't mess around. Most of their stuff is super, super pricey and worth it. But they do have a series called Labs that has a whole bunch of free stuff. A lot of you already know about Labs, I'm sure. But I'm pretty sure this Wurlitzer is pretty new because they'll release, a new instrument for it every once in a while. Here's what the Wurlitzer sounds like. Ooh. Very, very nice. Labs have these really simplistic controls. This is going to be your volume. This is going to be usually like a high-end treble bite. And then over here, this is going to be the reverb. And I will say, it has a really nice room reverb. It's short. If you are using this and you want to really add like a normal reverb, I would definitely recommend using a separate one because there's no way to kind of adjust what this reverb's doing. There's just a dry wet. And once you get it turned way up, it sounds really, really, really bad because it is just a little bit of room ambience. It's not like a long hall or plate reverb. So a little bit of it sounds amazing. But if you really do want to like wetten up the sound, I would recommend using something else. I also like to note that I'm using AutoPan on it right now, and AutoPan is an Ableton plugin. It usually looks like this and bounces the sound from left to right, but a cool little AutoPan tip is if you turn this phase all the way up, it turns into a tremolo plugin. And you got to have some tremolo with your Wurlitzer and your Rhodes. So I kind of wish there was one on here, but it's amazing anyway. Ooh. Turn my tremolo up. And I'm going to turn off my tremolo just for a second so you can just straight up hear this. So that sounds real nice. There's also an electric piano. We'll start with the DI. Really good. Let's turn up a little bite and a little room reverb. And you know what? Let's turn our tremolo back on. Ooh, slow it down. Who knows how to sing trip hop? Go. The modular piano instrument inside here is amazing too. Let me play you a couple of these real fast. That's dope. Let's go through some of these. Granular whirly. Piano heaven. This was a surprising little guy. This is the MK Wurlitzer. I think this is Big Cat Audio. They make a bunch of cool free plugins. This is just a Wurlitzer plugin, really bare bones. There's not really much control at all, but with my makeshift tremolo here, it sounds all right. This is a smaller one too. I think it's only about 130 megabytes. So if hard drive space is an issue, I'd recommend the Wurlitzer. Yeah. Oh, but I almost forgot about the Sweet Case electric piano by Noise Ash. This is a really nice one. Let's hear a little bit. Simple controls. You got a bass boost. The bell sound is kind of like the tine or whatever they call it. Sounds like this. And then take it away. Softer attack. That's a really cool parameter. This has a little modulation section right here that you can set to pan or expression or pitch. And so right now it's doing an auto pan thing, and you control it with intensity and speed. And you can get weird with the pitch. The one parameter I wish this one had that it doesn't is it's very bright. There's a whole lot of treble. So right here I am going to add my own little EQ, and just to kind of make a little filter. It needs to tone down the high end just a little bit, and there's not really a way to do it on the interface, but no big deal. But yeah, this thing's really cool. And on that note, I'd like to thank you for watching. Leave a comment below. Hit that subscribe. Peace.